right, Shalom Israel, Shalom Yasha'Allah. Brother Tazman, goodbye, y'all. Come back at these precepts. And yet another cold cut. Giving, of course, all and glory to Yahweh. Bashemar Shak, Amalak Yahweh Shai, Hatad Dakia. Giving a strong, mighty, Kabal Kabanyam, Classic Kwanyam, Shah Hadawad, Bayath. Right, giving double honors to the elders of the house of David, what's been laboring in his truth, patiently waiting for the second of our Lord, Hamashah, Wamalak Yahweh Shai. Give him, of course, a mighty, strong Shalom, Wayabashim Yahweh Shai. Brakatham taught him, mighty Akim, when I was in byways, laboring, pushing his truth to the four corners of the earth in sincerity, pure heart, magnifying the truth in the name of the Most High and his Son. Also, giving a hearty Shalom, Wayabashim Yahweh Shai, Shematham to all the Akwat in his truth, married and unmarried, reverencing their husbands, raising up the children decently in order, raising up the households, being women professing godliness and good works, quiet, submissive, teachers of good things, sewing, cleaning, giving alms, charity, working with their hands, and magnifying this truth through all thy many, many different offices in this truth as well. Giving a strong, also, hearty Shalom, Yahbashim Yahushai, Barak Washamar Thumb to all the mighty Banyam, the mighty children in this truth, honoring thy mother and thy father, being built up in the law, statutes, commandments, taking notes, being diligent, right, learning, right, and also being built up in the spirit and power of the Lord in these last days. So, all Israel, build your mighty Shalom, right, Khan. So, through the spirit, right up, we're going to get into, right, the breakdown and understanding of who are these four carpenters, right, who are the four carpenters, right. Got a lot of different breakdown, different understandings, right? Men that come with different doctrines, right? You know, some of our people don't know. Okay, right. So this is the book of Zechariah, chapter 1. Right, Zechariah chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at verse number 18. Actually, I'm gonna start at verse 17. It says, "Cry yet, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. Then I lift up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, four horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he said, and he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord shewed me four carpenters. Then said I, What come these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it." Right, Khan. Right, so these four carpenters are the four horns that you read about in Zechariah, the first chapter. Salakia. Right, so in order to understand, right, who these four carpenters are, you have to understand who are the four horns. All right, and the four horns, right, will be, right, the nations of our major captivities. Okay, and we're going to go into it and break it down. Okay, let's go to the book of Joel. Right, let's go to the book of Joel, chapter 1. Right, because these four carpenters or these four horns are four nations or four kingdoms. Right, that's going to come and ransack and destroy Israel and put us into a continual captivity. Right, this is the book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, "The word of the Lord that came to Joel, the son of Pethuel, hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation." right? So this is going to go on from generation to generation to generation, man. Right? And the Lord, he said what, man? That our elders were supposed to tell us of these things, man. Yet when we came over in captivity, right, through slave ships, right, they're going through the various of the different slave trades, right, loss and translation, okay, the different understandings, right, our nationality, our heritage being stripped and taken away from us, right. These things have been lost, right, and haven't been able to be told unto our children, right. Yet the Lord, he sealed these things and wrote it in the book, right, that we may be able, right, to have these things for our records. Okay, this is verse number 4. It says, that which the palmer worm had left had the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath eaten, the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left, the caterpillar, the caterpillar eaten, man. Right? So you have what, the palmer worm, the locust, the cankerworm, and the caterpillar. Right? And what is significant about these nations, man? Right? Or these insects, right? That they continually to devour. Right? So it says the palmer worm. Right? It says the palmer worm. Right? The palmer worm is a moth of the family Gilchidae. It is found in eastern North America. The wingspan is 15 to 18 millimeters. It says adults are on wing from April to October. There is one generation per year. The larvae feed on apple, huckleberry, hazel, and oak. The larvae skeletonize leaves and fold and roll during feeding. Right, so these things they eat, right, and devour, right, fruits, man. Right, and Israel is what is compared to what, the apple of the Most High's eye, right, as well. And they're also a very a devouring animal, right? It says the meaning palmer worm is a caterpillar that suddenly appears in great numbers, devouring herbage, right? And what was that first nation that came upon us, devouring us greatly, man? Right, that would be who? Right, the Babylonian Empire, right? They wax fat, okay, as they continue to eat and devour, right, and grow, right, and great and mightier stature, man. Right, read the book of First Kings, man. Salakia, right, of a Second Kings, man. Right, 23, right, 24, 25, man. Right, about Nebuchadnezzar, right, his continual sieges, man. Right, his first, his second, his third, and his fourth, right, and his fourth siege, right. Read the book of Second Chronicles, right, the 35th chapter, right, the 36th chapter, right. Read the book of Jeremiah, right, the 49th chapter, the 50th chapter, right, the 51st chapter, man, right, and even the 52nd chapter. Right, his last and final siege, man. Right, coming and continuing to rob and to spoil you. Right, this is Jeremiah chapter 52. Okay, and verse number 4. It says, and it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, and the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about. So the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah, and in the 4th month of the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people. Right? And this wasn't the first siege, right? That Nebuchadnezzar came, man. Right? His second siege, right? Right, the city was besieged 5 times, man. Right, by this a wicked king, man. Right, so that's been continually a devouring the herbage, man. Right, continually devouring, right, taking your spoils, right, taking your gold, taking your treasures, right, taking your resources, right. Let's get that real fast. In First Ezra, right, First Ezra, right, chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at verse number 40. It reads, "Wherefore against him Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon came up and bound him with a chain of brass and carried him into Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also took of the holy vessels of the Lord and carried them away and set them in his own temple at Babylon. But those things that are recorded of him and his uncleanness and impiety," right, his dirty and deceitful works, "are written in the chronicles of the kings. And Joachim, his son, reigned in his stead. He was made king, being 18 years old. He reigned but 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and did evil before the Lord. So after a year, Nebuchadnezzar sent and caused him to be brought into Babylon with the holy vessels of the Lord, and made Zedekiah king of Judea and Jerusalem when he was 21 years old, and he reigned 11 years, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and cared not for the words that were spoken to him by the prophet Jeremy," right? Again, speaking of Jeremiah, "from the mouth of the Lord. And after that, King Nebuchadnezzar had made him to swear by the name of the Lord. He forswore himself and rebelled, and hardening his heart, he transgressed the laws of the God of Israel." Right, the governors also of the people and of the priests did many things against the laws, and passed all the pollutions of all nations, and defiled the temple of the Lord, which was sanctified in Jerusalem. Right, right. So Nebuchadnezzar, man, he came, right, and continued now once, right, not twice, right, because as you read on, right, in verse 41, man, that he took all of our holy vessels, man, right, all the gold that you read about that came to Jerusalem, 8 per year, right, for Solomon, that you read about in First Kings, the 10th chapter, man, right, all of the precious, right, spoils, right, it's like our silver, right, our gold, right, our weapons, man, right. Nebuchadnezzar, he came and besieged them, man, right, and then he came after another year, man, and took our princes, our kings, right, our noblemen, right, and he took them into captivity as well, right. As you read more in depth, right, when you read 2 Kings, right, the 24th chapter, right, and verse I'm gonna jump down to verse number 53. It says, who slew their young men with the sword, yea, even with the compass of their holy temple, and spared neither a young man, nor maid, old man, nor child among them, for he delivered all into their hands, and they took all the holy vessels of the Lord, both great and small, with the vessels of the ark of the Most High, and the king's treasures, and carried them away into Babylon. As for the house of the Lord, they burnt it, and brake down the walls of Jerusalem, and set fire upon her walls. And as for her glorious things, they never ceased till they had consumed and brought them all to naught. And the people that were not slain with the sword, he carried unto Babylon, who became servants to him and his children till the Persians reigned, to fulfill the word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremy, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths, the whole time of her desolation shall she rest until the full term of 70 years, man. Right? So for 70 years, right, been under captivity, right, bondage, right, under the Babylonians, man. Right? It said what? It says till the Persians reign, man. Right? So that's how we know, right, that palmer worm, right, which came, right, and devoured us, right, continually, right, because it said what? That he took all of our vessels, man. Right? When you read up in the 40th verse, man. Right? And then he came again, man, and took even more of our treasures, our spoils, man. Right? And then you read on down in 54, it says, and what? He took everything, man, both small and great, man. The vessel of the ark, right? The king's treasures, man. Right? And carried them away into Babylon. Right? Right. It even goes more in depth, right? When you read, right, the Kings and the Chronicles, right? But the point is, it says who became servants to him and his children till the Persians reign, right? Because then you had the reign of the Persians and the Medes, right? Let's go back. Let's actually go back to that one more time in Joel, right? Right. So it's showing you plain upon tables, right? Who these horns are, right, and who these carpenters are, right, which the Lord likens them unto these different worms, right, these different insects who continue right, who continue to eat and devour. Right, it says, right, Joel 1:4, it says that which the palmer worm hath left the locust eaten, man. Right, so after being devoured, right, by, right, after being devoured, right, by the Babylonians, man, right, that which was left, right, the locust had eaten, man. Right, after the taking down of the Babylonians by the Persians and Medes, right, then you had the locusts, right. Right, so let's get into the locusts, man. Right, because the locusts, man, are great numbered, are great noiseful beasts, man. Right, and even they are devouring creatures as well, man. Right, and very aggressive, right, strong in might. Right, because the Persian and Medes, man, right, were more stronger in power to be able to take down the Babylonians. All right, it says locusts are a group of certain species of short-horned grasshoppers in the family Arcadia that have a swarming phase. These insects are usually solitary, but under certain circumstances, they become more abundant to change their behavior and habits, becoming gregarious, man. Right, now let's go into, right, that word, right, gregarious, man. Right, it says what? They are usually solitary, man. Right, because these were two kingdoms. Right, it says, right, gregarious. It says of a person fond of company, sociable. Right, it says living in flocks or loosely organized communities, growing in open clusters or in pure associations. Right, so even the way that the Lord, that he compares, right, these these are different insects, right? Because again, right, these were two kingdoms, right, that came together, right? The Persians, right, and the Medes, right? Persia and Media, right? Aram and Ashur, right, coming together, right, into one joint, right? They once operated as two heads, right, as two a single entities, right, and now came together and unified, right, becoming a company, right, becoming a social, right, becoming organized into one, right, taking down, right, the Babylonian Empire, right. It reads, reading on, okay, and it says Joel 1:4. So it says, that which the palmer worm hath left, the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath left, the cankerworm, the cankerworm eaten, right? Because again, after who came and took down the Persians, man, right? The Grecians, right? Let's get that, right? So after the Persians were taken down, right, the Grecians were taken down. Okay, right. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 8 and verse number 4. Actually, I'm sorry, verse number 3. It says, then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. Right? Again, right? These two horns, right? You had Persia, right? And you had Media. Right, and yet these two, right, nations that came together, right, to be exalted. Right, verse number 4 says, I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. It says, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him in the fury of his power. Right now, right, now you have the Persian, the Persian Media Empire, right, which was pushing westward, northward, and southward, right, meaning that what it was beginning, right, to stretch forth its power, right. It was spreading right abroad, right. The same way any kingdom would, man, right? That's growing in power, right? Growing in dominion, right? To take over many and more, right? Colonies, right? It had more so-called states, right? To grow and to conquer and to rule even more provinces, right? And cities thereof, man. Right, it's an exercise, right? It's so-called a great power, man. Right, it even tells you, right, in the book of Judith, right, about the great cities, that were held, right, the 100, right, and 20 and 27 provinces, right, and which, right, under the Persians and Medes had then conquered, right, and ruled and taken over and began to expand, right. And then you had the he-goat, right, the he-goat, right, being Alexander the Great, right, who came and reason why it says his feet toucheth not the ground, because of how quickly he dominated and conquered, right, these are different nations in the whole world. Right, it tells you in his quote, right, that I would have to find his quote, right. Yet, after he conquered the whole world, which was of silence, right. So I want to get ahead of myself, right? And First Maccabees, right? First Maccabees, the first chapter, right? Right, because the whole world was quiet. It was quiet before him, right? It's the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, "And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes," man. Right, again, showing you, right, that, right, through the precepts, right, that who took down the Medes, man, right. It was the Alexander, man, right, the Grecians. It said that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. Right, it says, "And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him." Right, right. So it says what? It says, "And he went to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him." Right, and in the quote of Alexander the Great, right, was that he was sad, man, because it was no more people to kill and to conquer, man. Right, that's what it means when the earth was quiet before him, man. Right, not that everyone was silent, right. Not that everyone kind of just died and it was just him, right, and it was just the wind blowing, man. Right, no, he had everyone under the earth, man, under his dominion, right, under his reign, right, under his so-called control, right. So let's go back to that, right, so in Daniel, right, to finish that off and break this thing down. All right, so this is Daniel chapter 8 and verse number 6. It reads, actually, I'm going to start back at 5. It says, "And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground." Right, again, as we just read in First Maccabees, and he swiftly conquered these nations, man. Right, and had them under dominion under him and paid tributaries unto him, man. Right, through his great might. It reads, "And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes, and he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and as he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, he brake his 2 horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 heavens. It's like toward the 4 winds of heaven, right? And those are 4 notable ones, right? As we're going to touch on, right? It's talking about, right, Alexander, his 4 generals, right, that he had under him, right? Right, right. So it said what? It said, right, that what he break, right, the 2 horn, the ram's 2 horns, man. Right, meaning that Alexander the Great, right, he conquered, right, as again we just read in First Maccabees, right, the Persia-Media Empire, man, right, and stomped them down and treaded them underfoot, right, meaning he utterly destroyed them and cast them down. Right, this is a verse. I'm gonna jump down, right, because it's gonna explain itself too as well. All right. This is the book of Daniel chapter 8 verse 20. It reads, the ram which thou sawest, having 2 horns, are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas for it stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power, right? Because right, reading on in First Maccabees, right, Alexander, right, the Great, man, right, and he died, man, from syphilis, man, right, from having STDs, man, right. So like I'm in First Ezra, right, First Maccabees, right. So his power, right, was then translated into his 4 generals. Okay, right. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse number 5. It reads, and after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Right. So after, right, conquering, right, and submitting all the nation unto himself, right, rulership, dominion. Right, it says, wherefore he called his servants such as were honorable. Right. Those four honorable men, man, that we just read about in Daniel the 8th chapter. It says, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died, and his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Right. So after, right, being conquered, right, and taken down, right, by the Persians and Medes, man, and then came the Greeks, man, right, to eat of our spoils, man, or to eat of our land, man, of our heritage, to put us into subjection and to put us into captivity as well, man. Right. So when you read, right, Joel, right, so let's go back to it. Right. So when you read Joel, right, 1, right, and 4, right, the palmer worm, right, which is, right, the Slakia, the palmer worm, right, being, right, the Babylonians, right, and then the locust, man, right, which immediately came and devoured us, man, after Babylon, right, and then you have the cankerworm, right, being, right, the Grecians, man, right, the Grecians, right, and we're going to get into these different worms and also link them up through the Spirit. Right? Right, come. Right, right, so like it says the cankerworms, it says cankerworms chew small holes on leaves. Feeding can cause complete desolation of a tree. A mature, strong tree can survive 1 to 2 seasons of complete defoliation, but more than 3 years of cankerworm feeding can cause branches to die, man. Right? And through the Grecian Empire, right? You had that strong tree, right? Of knowing who we are, man, and to then it become to now a fall and fade away, man. Right? Because what? We knew who we were in Babylon, man. Right? We knew who we were, right, in Persia, man, under the Persian and Medes, man. right? The Neo Babylon Empire, man, right? And then after being under, right, right, the Grecians, right, then you had that the king and falling away, right, to men now denouncing of themselves, right, as Israel, and to now denouncing themselves, right, as Greeks, man. Right, I'm gonna get a few precepts on that too. Right, First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. It says, "In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow." Man, right, and these are coons, man. Right, wicked men, right, who transgress, right, and rather, right, to receive, right, and beseech and call upon, right, the Holy One of Israel, right, the Lord, man, right, that they rather chose to beseech, right, to follow, right, after the ways, right, of the Grecians, right, after the ways of the heathen, right, the other nations, right, and follow their glory, right, and rather than the Lord, man. Okay, and I'm gonna jump down. Actually, I'm gonna keep reading on. Verse number 12. It reads. It says, "So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so afraid herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen." Right, and what's the license after the order of the heathen, man? Right, the same way you have here now in Babylon, man. Right, you could do what you want to do. You could freak off. Or you can eat pork. You can eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. You can get get tatted up like Lil Wayne. Right, sell yourself out for a record deal. Right, hate your brother, commit all manners of evil and wickedness, man. Right, these are all the things, man. Right, that we have a license to do here, man. Right, all things, man, but following, right, the laws of the Most High God, man, and calling yourself your God-given nationality, man. Right, this is the book of First Maccabees 1 and 14. It says, "Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of two realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death." Right, and these are the generals or the four kings, or two of the four kings, Slakia, that came and broke off, right, from under Alexander the Great, man. Right, and now they're beginning to war with each other for power and for territory, man. Right, verse number 19, it says, "Thus they got the strong cities in the land thereof of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 140 and third year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the tables of shewbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which were found. And he had taken all away. He went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very, very proudly, man. Right, so this damn devil, man, he took everything, man. Right, he even took the hidden treasures, man. Right, going and damn digging, man. Right, and probably digging underground, right, tunnels and holes, man. Right, ransacking houses, right, tearing down the temple, piece by piece, man. Right, these are what the cankerworm has done, man. Right, has torn us down, right, and has torn us down completely, man. Right, which is why it says the cankerworm feeding. It says feeding, it can cause their branches to die, man. Right, to where a taking them everything that was hidden, right, that the secret gold that may have been hidden, not to be discovered, right, and utterly spoiling you, man. Right, and the Lord is comparing, right, these kingdoms, right, to, right, again, these insects, and in Joel, right, the first chapter, right. So you had a Nebuchadnezzar, man, that took all of our holy things, man. Right, our gold, our silver, our menorahs, our shields, our bucklers, our sword, right, our weapons of gold, which we had, right, and then what you have coming after that, and then you got the Persian Medes, man, which robbed and spoiled us, man. Right, and now you have these Greeks who are coming into power, robbing and spoiling us, man. Right. Let me also get that in second Maccabees, the 4th chapter, man. Right, second Maccabees, right, chapter 4. Right, because this has been completely destroyed, man, as a people. Right, this is the book of second Maccabees, chapter 4, and verse number 12. It says, "For he built gladly," right, and actually I'm gonna start at verse number 11. Actually, verse number 10. It says, "Which the king had granted." Actually, so like I'm gonna start at verse number 9. Damn, I'm sorry, verse number 7. Right, second Maccabees 4 and verse 7. It says, "But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest, promising unto the kingdom by intercession 360 talents of silver, and of another revenue 80 talents, man. Beside this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set up a place for exercise." Right, so taking a briberies, man, right, in deals, man, right, basically giving you, man, that the same so-called silver, paying you with the same things that he robbed you with, man. Right, that's like, man, you kind of rob somebody for all his money, for all his possessions, right, and everything he has, man, right, and then making them to work for you to get back what's his, man, right, and giving them a damn gifts, right, that's corruptible, right, they're destroying the heart and madness, man. Right, this is how, right, the cankerworm completely destroys you. Okay, it says, "If he might have license to set up a place for exercise, and for the training of youth up in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians," man. And that's off, man. Right, so now, right, the youth are being trained in the ways of the heathen, man. Right, and to be called what? Antiochians, man. Right, and what's another word for that, man? It's like being called your so-called modern day American, right? Your so-called African American, your so-called Hispanic, right? Now you are now being called the property, right, of who conquered and ruled you, man. Right, and that's a top chief, a coon, a damn thing to a damn dude, man. you want to train. You're supposed to be a high priest, right? After the Most High, right? And now you're having the youth to be trained up, right? To be called a damn after the name of the heathen, man. Right? No longer Israelites, man. Right? Again, this is a tree, man, that has been utterly a damn cast down, man. Right? And being utterly destroyed. Right? So where you can't even bear any fruit no more thereof, man. Your roots and your branches are being broken off in these last days. Right? Which is why, right, the Lord said, right, in the book of Romans, right, the 11th chapter, man, right, that you have natural branches, right, that had to be grafted back in, man, right, because these branches that fell off, right, from this tree, right, from the nation of Israel, right, were under, right, the Greek mindset, man, right, being trained up in lies, right, and abominations from a youth up. Okay, verse number 10, it says, which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashion, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Apollomus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law, for he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Freaking off, man. Right, it says, now such was the height of Greek fashions and increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, man. Right, having all type of a manner of madness, man. Right, that the priest had no courage to serve anymore at the temple, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hasten to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus, called them forth, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. Right, so through the hand of these Grecians and through these captivities, right, chiefly that cankerworm, right, which came in that third season, that cankerworm which came in that third captivity, man. Right, our people were all the way broken off, man. Broken down, man. Right, now to at a point, man. Our people, they just rather called themselves Grecians, man. Right, which we know, right, that the Grecians, right, and we know that the classic, right, and Second Maccabees, right, 6:6 on down, right, how it was unlawful to call or to profess yourself at all, to be a Jew, man, right, how much more, right, Salakia, right, how much more are being cast down and cut down, man, right, about these Greeks, man, who came and utterly destroyed us, man, and devoured us, man, right? That's why when you read, man, in the in the Gospels, right, chiefly, right, the epistles, right, about the Grecians, man, right, about why you have so many of our people that's called Greeks, man, right? Why is it during right the Roman Empire you have so many of our people being called Greeks, man? Right? Wouldn't they be called Romans, man? Right? It's because our people were utterly destroyed, right? Under, right, under, right, this mindset, man. Right now, right, to link this thing up, right? This is First Maccabees chapter 8 and verse number 17. Right, it says, in consideration of those things, Judas chose Epollemus, the son of John, the son of Achos, the son, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of enmity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they should take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, right, Khan, right. So after, right, the Grecian Empire, right, then came the Rome, right, and this isn't talking about the Roman Empire, right, but rather the Roman the Roman Republic, which predated the Roman Empire, right. So after the Romans, right, so after the Grecians, right, then came the Roman Empire, right, which you can go further in depth, right, and First Maccabees, right, the 8th chapter as well. Okay, so now, right, let's go back to Joel, right, finish this thing out, right. So you have, right, the palmer worm, right, the locust, right, the cankerworm, right, and then the caterpillar, man. Right, the caterpillar, right, the Roman Empire, right, who came, right, and besieged us, right after, right after the Greek Empire, right, right, Salakia, kind of, right, Salakia, right, kind of, let's go here. Okay, right, so caterpillars, right, says are larval stage of members of the order of the Lepidoptera, right, the insect order comprising butterflies and moths. Okay, it reads, caterpillars of most species eat plant material, often leaves, but not all. Some, about 1%, eat insects, and some are even cannibalistic. Some feed on animal products. For example, clothes moths feed on wool, and horn moths feed on the hooves and horns of dead ungulates. Caterpillars are typically voracious feeders, and many and of them are among the most serious of agriculture pests. In fact, many moth species are best known in their caterpillar stage because of the damage they cause to fruits and other agricultural produce, whereas the moths are obscured and do no direct harm. Conversely, various species of caterpillar are valued as sources of silk, as human or animal food, or for biological control of pest plants. Right, so caterpillars, right, are they can eat any and everything, right, and are very voracious eaters, man. Right, let's tap into that, man, real fast. Right, voracious. Okay, it says wanting or devouring great quantities of food, having a very eager approach to an activity, right, and how much more, right, again, the Romans, who came and devoured, right, even more, man, and even to this a very day, man, right, they need to have so-called controlled, right, power, right, dominion, right, to have the resource of everything, right, right? The modern Romans, man, that they're so-called, their flags are planted in every continent, man, right? Literally, man, right? You can literally go and see the extensions of the Roman Empire, right, in every single in every single continent, man, right? That is upon the earth, right? So that caterpillar, right, is a very ferocious or great devouring insect in these last days, man. Right? And it says similar to insatiable, unquenchable, unappeasable, a uncontrollable, man. A compulsive, man. Gluttonous, greedy, man. Right? And these are all synonyms, man, that we can all equate, man, with Esau, man. Right? These are all synonyms that we can equate, man, right, with these modern day Babylonians, man, till this very single day, man. Right? Unappeasable, right? Unquenchable thirst for blood, right? For gold, for money, right? For so-called dominion, right? Trying to establish their democracy and their so-called ways, right, upon all the inhabitants of the earth, right? Trying to have their so-called new world order, right? To have all things, all men a subject and to be stamped unto them, man. Right? The Romans, man, are known as a caterpillar, man. A voracious eaters, man, in these last days. Right, so let's get this back in Joel, the first chapter. Right, Joel chapter 1 and verse number 5. It says, "Awake ye drunkards, and weep and howl, all you drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. For a nation is come up upon my land, strong and without number, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he had the cheek teeth of a great lion," man. Right, right. So bringing it back full circle, man. Who is that great lion? Right, that great lion is talking about the Babylonian Empire. Right. Let's go to the book of Slakia. Right. Let's go to the book of Daniel. Right, chapter 7. Right, who is this great lion? Daniel chapter 7. Right, and verse number 3. It reads, it's like, or I can start from the top. It says, "In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, one diverse from another." Right, and we know, right, Psalms, right, the classic 144:7, right, Revelation, right, 17:12 on down, right, that this sea, right, is talking about the nations, right? So these are different kingdoms, different nations. It's like different kingdoms that's arising out of these different nations, right? Verse number 4, it says, "The first was like a lion, and he had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and man stood upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it." Right? Right, this man is talking about, sorry, this lion is talking about Nebuchadnezzar. Right? This Daniel chapter 2, and I'm gonna start at verse number 27. It reads, it says, "Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king have damned cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers shew unto the king." Right, so no men could break down, right, the mysteries of this dream, of this vision, man. Right, the same way how even now, man, these top scholars, right? These top men with PhDs, right? These top theologians, right? These top men of renown, top wise men, how they cannot break down the mysteries of the scriptures now unto this very day, right? Or discern the signs of the times. Right? Verse 28, it says, "But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed, what should come to pass hereafter. And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. But as for me, the secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom, that I have more than any living, but for their sakes, that they shall make known the interpretation to the king, that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and clay, and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, where of iron and clay, and break them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Right? And this is talking about Yahushua, man, when he comes back, man. Because you have the gold, you have the gold, which is Babylon, right? The silver, right? The silver of Ben, right? The Persians and Medes, right? And then you have the legs of iron, right? The legs of iron, right? Being what? I'm sorry, the thighs of brass being the Grecians, right? And the legs of iron, right? Being right the Romans, right? And the feet, right? The miry clay, right? It's talking about the Roman Empire, right? Which came back and divided right into the 10 toes, were also known as the 10 horns. Okay. Slack it. Right, read it on. Right, slack it. Right, it says in a break. Verse number 36. It says, "This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings. For the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And whereas the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and thou and hath made thee ruler of them all. Thou art this head of gold." Right? Right, so Daniel he broke it down to him, man. He said that thou art this head of gold, right? So this first kingdom, right, is or this first lion, man, is talking about the Babylonian Empire, right? Right, so back in Daniel 7, right, and we gonna pull this thing up, man, too, right? Let's get that vision. Visions. Okay, all praise. Right, visions in Daniel, right? Through the Spirit. Right? And break this thing down. Right, the gold, right, the silver, right, the bronze, the iron, right? The 10 toes. Right? Got the timelines, got the dates, right? Daniel 2 linking up directly with Daniel 7, right? Right, Con, it says, right, Con, Babylon, right, been that head of gold, right, and also been that lion, right, the bear, right, with 3 ribs, right, Con, got the leopard, right, and actually, let's also read it, right, as we go through it too, right, and break it down, right. So this is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 5. It reads, behold, another beast, a second like to it, a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Right, those 3 ribs, right, then slack it. Those 3 ribs, right, are the are who the Persian and Medes took down, man. Right, during their 3 principal conquests, man. Right, being Lydia and 446 BC, Babylon and 439 BC, and Egypt and 525 BC. Right, those are the 3 ribs. Right, verse number 7, it says, and this I saw in the night visions. It's like in the night visions, and behold, it's like verse number 6. It says, and this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. Right, and this leopard is talking about Alexander the Great, the Grecians, right? Which conquered in 4 heads. It's like in 4 years, right? The 4 heads are corresponding to, right, the 4 main divisions, right, in which his empire fell, right, and circa around 323 AD, right, which was Macedon and Greece, right, which was under Antipater, right, and Cassander, right, Tharsis and Asia Minor, right, which was under Lysimachus, right, Syria, which was under Seleucus the First, right, and in Israel, right, in Egypt, right, which was under Ptolemy the First, right. So those were the 4 the 4 wings, right, and also the 4 heads that broke apart, right, which had dominion, right, over 4 parts, right, of the earth splitting up after the death of Alexander. Right, so now in verse number 7 it says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Right, it says, I considered the horns, and beheld, there came among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by their roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things, man. Right, which, right, that little horn that came up and plucked up the 3, right, out of the Neo Roman Empire, which came back under the 10 toes, right, America, right. The first one, right, being, right, the British, right, during the Revolutionary War, right, had the Spanish, right, during the Spanish Indian War, right, and you also had the French, right? Which America also took down the French, right? For the Louisiana Purchase and the first World War, right? Taking down Napoleon, right? So these were the three horns, right? Britain, right? Britain, France, right, and Spain, right, which were taken down. Right, so last precept, we're going to go to Joel 2 and verse number 25. It reads, Joel 2 and 25, it says, "And I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten, the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you, and ye shall eat in plenty, and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, which had dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed." Also, through keeping the faith, right, through the grace, right, through the mercy, right, the nations, right, that ate, right, and that devoured, right, being the locust, right, the cankerworm, right, the caterpillar, the palmer worm, right, these things shall return 70-fold, man. So with that, give all praises, give all the glory, right, to the Most High God. Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Hope this lesson was very edifying. Again, brother Tazman Gabari, Allah coming at you with precepts and yet another cold cut. Until then, keep staying steadfast, keep enduring. Kwam Yashala. Shalom.